Hey there, it's Tony Curl here from Think and Grow Business and founder of the Coach Curl Academy. Have you ever had a brilliant idea to start a business? But have you become stuck on how you take the initial inspiration from that idea and build a business that you not only launch, but create success from? Now, starting a business has many moving parts. We know that. And it requires a lot of planning. But anyone can start a business as long as you have some focus and some organization. Today we've taken some key components out of one of the Coach Curl Academy programs. It's called Fueling Your Business, and it's a step-by-step process in which you can start and launch a successful business. There's 12 steps in all, and we've taken 5 essential steps to help you and add value to you to give you an understanding of what it takes to start a business. Now, if you're looking for a program to work through at your own pace, this one is entirely online and it's tremendous value for you. We've taken 5 essential steps out of this program because we know that your business will not succeed if you don't look at these 5 essential steps. Now, these 5 essential steps can be worked free from this page in this video. You'll see underneath there'll be a download link for a checklist that you can check through as you work to build your business. But you'll also see an opt-in form where you can download a much more thorough, much more detailed workbook that will help you through these 5 steps. Now, if the workbook sounds like a fantastic idea, send off the request. You'll get an immediate email back with the download link for the workbook. So pause the video, send off your request, and get the workbook before going any further. Starting your own business is a dream for so many people, but quality help is hard to find. Yes, I know we have some amazing business coaches, some amazing programs like accelerators and incubators where you can develop your idea, but many small businesses find it hard to justify the investment that some of these programs have. That's why we have the 5 essential steps. This is a free offering to you to add value so that you can understand 5 essential steps that you'll need to walk through to create your own business. It's a program where the only investment truly is your time. Now, if you do choose to undertake and go further and undertake the Fueling Your Business program inside the Coach Curl Academy, there'll be more detail around these 5 essential steps, and there'll be an alignment with more steps that will take you from a entrepreneurial mindset to start a business to a successful launch of your business and how you maintain and monitor that going forward. I hope you get some great value from this program. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, please send me an email through the feedback form. Outside of that, I'm looking forward to hearing how successful you are with your business. Hey there, it's Tony here, and thanks for joining us to work through the 5 essentials for starting a new business. Now, starting a business has many moving parts. So, do you have a great idea that you want to be able to take and turn into a viable business? So, how do you go from that initial inspiration to actually getting your business off the ground? These are 5 essential steps to starting your business. Now, if we break the process down of starting a business, these 5 steps appear in just about every starting business program out there. And if you don't look after them, your business, unfortunately, will ultimately fail. Now, steps number 1 and number 2 are interchangeable at times. It depends on whether you've decided to target initially a target market or whether you actually have an idea to solve a problem within the target market. So when you're looking at steps number 1 or number 2, so number 1 is identifying our target market, and step number 2 is about creating a unique solution. So it's important to understand that if you've come up with an idea first, you are seriously looking at what is that solution and how does it solve a problem. Step number one is very often we need to identify exactly who our target market is. Now, target market in a nutshell is the ideal person that's going to buy your products. Now, this person has a particular need that your products and services are needed. They meet a need of this particular person. So when someone starts a business, they create a target market profile. Some people will call this your gravatar. Some people will call this your persona. So the persona, we want to narrow it down and be as specific as possible and be able to create a one-person attribute of some of those key traits, those key characteristics within your target market. So if you can narrow your market down and make it as specific as possible, it enables you to compete with bigger and more established companies. And it enables you to make sure that the message that you're sending is actually relevant to the target market of your product. Often we'll see people send out broad messages to the market in the hope, and especially a small business, taking out a broad message to the market with a narrow focus of budgeting or funds creates a real opportunity that marketing fund expenditure is going to be wasted. So the more specific that we can get in relation to our target market, the better off that we are going to get in communicating and identifying and targeting our ideal customer. So you want to narrow your market down. You may already have a bit of an idea of who your target market is. It may be quite a broad brushed target market. It may be, example, small business owners. It could be potentially work from home people or mums. But often this is just far too general. Far too general. Instead, a good target market persona would be something like small business owners who run an established business that take in X amount of dollars in income per year. Or it could be work-at-home mums in their 20s or early 30s who value an independent lifestyle. Now, whichever way you decide to narrow down your target market, it is always a good idea to include things like age, location, income level, the stage that they're at within their career, the industry or area of expertise, and maybe even things like educational level. Now, there are other factors that you can include, things like psychological and behavioural characteristics, how this person spends their money, what's their dreams and goals, what do they do in their leisure time. And as I said, the more specific that we can get in relation to our target, the more likely that we have of being able to communicate them in a marketing sense. But we do need to do some measurements and we do need to do some research in relation to them. Because it's not just to have an idea and believe that our product will serve them. It's also, is my idea commercially viable and will they actually pay for the solution? So in relation to the first essential step, we need to create that target market profile. And that may include demographic information and psychological factors, but we need to get data and research in relation to that. You also may need to look at the market in general. How are these people being served now by their customers? Where can you find them? Are they on things like online forums? Are they on Facebook groups? Are people talking about certain products or potentially products that satisfy the need for these people in those areas? So that's some of the avenues that you can find and fuel your research to make sure that your target market is as clear and specific as possible. Now, once you know what your target market is, you can focus on the problems that they're facing and what you can do to help them. So as I said, you can flip this. If you've started with a problem, you need to define this area first and then look at who your target market is in a little bit more detail. So take something that your client or your target audience are struggling with and offer them a solution. Solve the problem in a way that no one else in the industry does. Focus on the strength of the products or your service that you're going to provide, and look at things like what's unique about it. Look at similar offerings from your competitors, of course, and identify what is different in yours to what is already being offered. So one way to make your offering unique is to add some extras to it. So instead of lowering the price to be the lowest in the market, why don't you add value into your product services? You could offer additional products or services and bundle them with your product. Offer high quality standards or an extra service like 24-hour support or money back guarantee or free shipping. You can offer a unique pricing structure or payment plan if no one else is offering that, or potentially if everyone else is offering that. So if everyone else is offering a pricing structure or a payment plan, it would make good sense for you to be doing the same. But then how can you make your offer considerably unique? The most important thing to focus on is solving the problem. Now, if you get that right, you're on your step towards sales. Now, it doesn't, and when I say on your step, it doesn't guarantee sales. Yes, they've got a problem. Yes, your product can satisfy that problem, but are they willing to pay for it? So how do you find that out? Of course, you're going to be looking at some future market research that will help you understand what is the price point, what is the pain point, and what is the level of value that people are wanting to solve that particular problem. So in relation to our next step, so the actions that I want you to think about from step number 2, how does your product or service uniquely solve the problem that your customers are having, that your target customers are having? So we look at that unique scenario, that unique selling proposition, because ultimately that's important. You want to stand out from your competitors. There's a lot of Me Too businesses out there that market themselves in a vanilla aspect. When I say vanilla, we're all bland, we're all doing the same thing. So how does your product satisfy your target customers in a unique aspect? Now, step number 3 is to start setting out your business basics. Now, this is going to depend largely on where you're situated around the world. So you need to, of course, figure out what costs are involved in setting up your business. There's a good school of thought here that if you set up your startup costs, it's always a good idea to double them, because there are so many hidden little aspects around costings of your business. And make sure that it's documented, because at least if it's documented, it's not just sitting in your head. I can guarantee that if you put your costs and your figuratively budgets into your head, that you will certainly overspend. And when you're starting a business, you need a tight rein of where you're spending your money. You need to get value for your money, absolutely. But if your budgeting is all in your head, the reality is that you are going to lose control of where you are. So, it doesn't take a great deal of money to start a small business, but there's usually some level of investment. And you'll have to figure out where that money will come from, of course. Okay, it may come from your credit card. It may come from what we call bootstrapping. It may come from the bank. So costs include things like any licenses that are applicable for your particular business, any permits that you need. There may be some legal fees when you're setting up that business structure. There may be insurances that you need. There's a bit of a kickstart on some basic marketing. You've got rents, you've got rental fees, you've got event funding, and so on. So it's really wise to have a bit of a startup spreadsheet, a startup cost spreadsheet, and then sit down and brainstorm any single expense that you might need. Now, that may mean that you want to pay some some people to provide you some professional advice. So make sure that that's all part of your startup costs. Now, once again, setting up a legal entity, your business needs to exist as a legal entity, and depending on where you are around the world, that there's slight changes. Now, here in Australia, our easiest form of business is what we call our sole trader, and that basically works off your tax file number, accompanied and linked back to an ABN for your particular business. And then we work through company structures, trusts, partnerships, etc., etc. It's always important to seek some legal advice in relation to what is the best legal structure for your business, and not just leave that to chance. There's benefits. Yes, the sole trader is the most simplest, but there's some implications on sole traders. So it's always best to get some legal advice, but you do need to set up a legal entity in relation to your business. Now, something that we don't like to do, but we should actually like to do, is pay taxes. And what I mean by that is that often we'll be paying taxes only because the business is making money. Hallelujah! And that's what we want to be doing, isn't it? So, and once again, it's going to be dependent on where you are and which country. Here in Australia, we have GST. For businesses with a revenue of over $75,000, you must be collecting GST for the government. So you'll need an ABN, a business number, and you need to register for GST. You'll also have things like pay-as-you-go tax, so there's all sorts of taxation requirements around your potential earnings within your business. Once again, it's always good to get a specialist in relation to make sure that you are covering off and paying the taxes that you need. While the ATO will often talk about being a friend of business, that's the Australian Tax Office, will often talk about being a friend to business. The reality is that many would probably suggest otherwise. So you have a tax obligation, so you need to make sure that you're covering that. And also things like insurances are really important. If you're a professional service like a coach or a consultant, you'll need things like public liability, professional indemnity. And once again, depending on where you are around the world, that may change. But it's important to understand what are the requirements in your particular business. Now, also when we're talking about setting up our business and setting up our basics, we need to understand intellectual property rights. So if you've got a brand name that you want to trade under, it would make some sense to trademark that name. Now, trademarking is an additional cost, and it is quite a reasonably lengthy process, especially, and once again, I'm talking about Australia, but wherever you are in the world, there will be a process that you have to follow in relation to trademarks. Now, trademarks will protect you and your brand name and potentially your logo against other people using similar in the class of goods or services that you operate in. So, for example, if I am Think Big Coaching Services, for example, and I've registered that name in class, I think it's 41 for adult training and development. No one else can register that name, whether it's a business name, any sort of name, in relation to Think Big Coaching, right, within that class of goods. Now, it doesn't stop the snack bar from down the road from registering Think Big as their brand name in a different class of goods, but it does protect you in relation to your name in the service industry that you or class of goods that you are looking to create your business in. Now, also in relation to your business, you will need some terms and conditions, terms of service. You'll need contractual agreements. You'll need sales agreements. You'll need pricing and privacy policies. There's all manner of things. You'll need a returns policy. If you're actually sending out, if you're selling a physical product, what's the refund process? You'll need to understand the risks around some of the stuff. You'll need to understand your privacy policy, your terms of service on your website, and confidentiality. Once again, there's a lot of stuff in that, but understand you need to have terms and conditions to create a safe and secure environment for your customers to be dealing with you. So once again, privacy policy, it needs to be stated, it needs to be able to be found. And then also you need to be setting up, how are you going to take payments for your services? So is it direct debit into your bank account? Is it PayPal? Is it a credit card facility that you're needing? So once again, that's a much needed aspect around what it is that you need for your particular business. So the action steps from this part, obviously you need to do a little bit of research and seek some professional advice in relation to some of those needed things within your businesses, legislation, regulations, etc., etc. And once again, create a spreadsheet for all starting investments and your starting expenses, because these things unfortunately will cost you money to set up, but you need to have them set up to make sure that you are covering what you need to be covered within the business startup process. Step number 4, vitally important, you need to define your brand. Your brand is the image the market has of your business. Now, it's a combination of things. You know, many people think only of marketing as advertising, but it's a combination of things. It's a design, it's logos, it's uniforms, it's symbols, it's the words that we communicate, it's how we communicate out to the market. It helps set your company apart from others. And where you want to be is that when people see your brand, they instantly know it's you. Now, a brand is much more than a logo or a motto. It's an overall image. Now, a good brand is clear and memorable. It's consistent across all of your products and all of your marketing materials. Most of all, it conveys what you want people to think about your company. Now, if you offer financial services, for example, your brand should tell people you're trustworthy, you're knowledgeable, and you're experienced, and you have credibility. Now, some companies might choose a brand that communicates fun or excitement, and that may be like a lifestyle brand or a food brand or what have you. But it's important that your brand communicates the message that you're looking to achieve. So the best way to come up with a brand is to start with the associations you want people to make. So when you think about your target customer and you think about what is the feeling and emotions that you want them to have after participating or partaking of a service or a product from your brand, can you define that, and what does that look like? And from there, you've got a really good, strong basis to thinking about how can you define your brand? How can you define your brand to make that happen? So identify the themes of your brand. This is your next steps. This is your action process. And how will you communicate those themes through a marketing process? Remember, I was talking about your target customer. We should be now starting to think, how do I communicate to my target customer, and what is it that they're wanting to hear and resonate with? Because this is when we start looking at that realistic marketing plan. Now, you've already started the marketing strategy process by identifying your target customer, creating your unique solution, and getting started with your branding. So these are all components of a good marketing strategy. Now, a good marketing strategy can often be quite complex. And this is why so many people struggle with this, because it is complex, and it is important that you do the work in relation to what's needed with your marketing strategy. But in a nutshell, there's a couple of key areas. Pricing. You have to figure out how you're going to charge for your product or service. Now, this is tricky when you're doing it for the first time, but start by getting an idea of how much people are already paying for an offering like yours. Make sure your production and related costs are all covered. Now, you can charge more than the going rate if you offer enough extra value. I remember a business guru telling us all at a breakfast meeting, he said, someone has to be the most expensive in the market. Why can't it be you? But he said, if you want to be the most expensive, make sure there's a valid reason that you're the most expensive. So you can offer additional value, and if you can demonstrate that, that can be related or relative back to the pricing that you're setting and can be part of that pricing policy. Now, promotion, decide how you're going to reach your audience to tell them about your unique product or service. Identify the places where they hang out, whether it's online or offline, and how you'll get your message to them. So this is what we call promotion. And once again, this is part of the marketing equation. Once again, we want to look at our competitors. We want you to study them. We want you to follow them online. See what other people have to say about them. Consume what it is that they're offering. Try out their products. Now, if you know your competition well, you'll also understand what your target market thinks about them. And you'll also understand the message that you can send that's going to differentiate. And like anything, we need to set goals. We need to set specific measurements on what you're expecting from your marketing. Too many people just boost a Facebook post and call it marketing, but we're not thinking about it and we're not measuring what it is that we're spending, and we're not setting some goals in relation to what it is. So your final step is to start working through your marketing plan. You're researching pricing, promotion, competition, and setting your measurable goals. So that's it. They're the 5 key steps in understanding your business. So just in summary, identify your target market, number 1. Create a unique solution, number 2. Set up your business basics, number 3. You've got defining your brand, number 4. And the final one, of course, is that develop your marketing plan. So they are the steps to take, the 5 essential steps that you will see in any start up your business program. Now follow the links if you want to know more, if you want to get that more detailed worksheet that will enable you to work through some of those questions and more that we've talked about here on our video today. Please share your email address underneath and we will send that out to you for an immediate download. If you want to know more, or if you want to undertake the Fueling Your Business program that's available on the Coach Curl Academy, it's also, information is available wherever you find this video. You'll see the link. Please check it out. We'd love to have you on board. Now, I hope that today has been this small snippet, the teaser in relation to setting up your business has been of great value to you. I look forward to hearing how your business is going. My name's Tony Curl from Think and Grow Business. I hope to talk to you soon.